Hey guys, I'm Dave Cariello from Canal Chronicles. It's time now for me to answer your question. It's another edition, a new video version of What Up With That? Okay, our first question today comes from St. Merck, and he wants to know, do you think Jabari Greer was dropped in the lineup because he was injured, losing a step, or for disciplinary reasons? I don't think it was for disciplinary reasons. We're not really supposed to read too much into this whole depth chart thing and where they're practicing. I mean, it's so early in this off season, really. Me personally, I think Jabari Greer is the Saints' second best cornerback behind, obviously, free agent acquisition Keenan Lewis. If Greer is running with the twos and there's a reason for it, could be disciplinary, could be the coaches wanting to maybe send a message to him and say, look, you're getting old, you got to step up and you got to really show, why you're on this team and why you want to be on this team. He could be, maybe he had like a slight injury, that wasn't big enough to keep him out of practice, but, he maybe didn't want to go full speed. There could be a number of reasons, and I don't think you should be looking too much into where the players are practicing during the first OTAs of the season. So take all of this for what it's worth. Thank you for the question. Next up is a question from Drew504, and he wants to know about Charles Brown. He wants to know if I have any info about his injury or when he's expected to recover. No. Sean Payton said during OTAs that he didn't want to talk about injuries until the fall. You're not going to find anything out. I certainly have zero information. I would say most of the beat guys and people who do cover the Saints for a living, they probably are in the dark too. I wouldn't expect to get any of that information. I wouldn't be too worried about it right now. He still has months before training camp starts. But you know how Payton operates his system. Don't expect any info like that to come out unless the team is forced to release that information. Okay, the next question is, which game this upcoming regular season am I really anticipating, and which one has my stomach in knots just thinking about? I would say, honestly, it's week one, right off the bat against the Falcons. We know the Falcons are going to be good. We know it's an important game, division game. It's crazy to think, but it could potentially have playoff implications, even though it's the first week of the season. I think it's important to get off to a good start for this team. So, honestly, it may be hard to believe or it may be weird, but I think week one against the Falcons at home, that's definitely what I'm most nervous about. I'd like to get that one out of the way and move on, hopefully with a win. Our last question is actually a good segue to our next question, which comes from John N., who wants to know, considering how pumped up our team is right now, how much do I think a loss to the Falcons in week one would be a season-impacting blow to our morale? Yes, of course I think that game is important. Division game, Falcons are tough. Week one, want to get off to a good start, but it's also just week one, so just because they lose one game doesn't mean the whole season is completely done for. There are 5 other division games. They'll play Atlanta again, and the Saints would control their own destiny at that point, and they could make a decision whether they want to keep fighting on and just put that loss behind them, or whether they want to just give up and call it quits. And I'm almost positive Sean Payton and the Saints would never allow the latter to happen. So yeah, it's an important game, but not season-ending should the Saints happen to lose, which we all know won't happen. Okay, our next question is about the big move by Will Smith to outside linebacker. Rusty wants to know, do I think moving Will Smith to linebacker was a demotion or a promotion? Neither. I really don't think that anybody's looking at it that way. I know a lot of fans are saying, Will Smith, the Saints are moving Will Smith to linebacker so he'll fail, and then it'll give him a chance to cut him. I just don't see that being in the best interest of anybody involved. I think that the Saints looked at all their personnel and looked at their skill sets and say, okay, this is where they best fit. The Saints just want to put the best players out on the field, and they want to put put players where they're going to be most comfortable and where they're best at. And I think they're trying Will Smith there, and they feel that Will Smith can do well, and they're hoping that Will Smith can do well, because then it works for everybody. They'll get a great season out of Will Smith, and Will Smith, has a great season, and everybody wins. So, I mean, I just don't think that the Saints are planning that far in advance and coming up with this almost diabolical scheme and passive-aggressive scheme to get rid of Will Smith. I just don't think it works that way. I think everybody is just trying to field the best football team and get the most out of all of the players that are on their roster. Simple as that. All right, we're actually going to finish up with a question about the blog, not really necessarily about the Saints. Cajun in California wants to know, will we be doing the 5-question series this year? He really enjoyed when we would get together with the top blogger from opponents, SB Nation webpage, and exchanged questions and talked about all that. And he also wants to know whether I'm going to continue the prediction contest for next season, whether it's too hard to keep up with. I'll answer that last question. I think we'll definitely do the prediction contest. It's not that difficult. We seem to have topped off at the number of participants, so it's fine with me. I can put in that work. And as for your earlier questions, I would love to do Q&As and talk with other SB Nation bloggers. Maybe one of our contributors wants to take over the reins on that and do that. I think that's a great off-season topic. That way we can learn a lot about the Saints' opponents upcoming this season. So, look for that. And I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments section below whether you want to see me continue to do this or whether we ought to go back to the same old format with me just typing out my answers. But I thought you guys might enjoy this treat, and I thought it might be something different for the blog. So let me know.